Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Meet the Financial Services team here, presented by Avanade. Today we're fortunate we're joined by our banking lead, Karan. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, James. Good to be here. Looking forward to next set of questions and answers in this round.
Yeah, absolutely, should be good. So when I think of banks, I think of the largest institutions like HSBC, Lloyds, Barclays. Now you obviously work with small and mid-sized firms on a daily basis. And what I want to know is, what is the real differentiator between the large enterprise institutions and the mid-sized banks? Are they lagging in a technology front, or is there something that they're doing differently as opposed to the larger organizations?
Yeah, I mean it's a good question, right? Where we get an understanding on how these big size organizations are operating and how the small organizations, they have their unique stances on how they operate, right? So just taking a step back, just give an introduction for the rest of the people who are going to watch this. Is I'm Karan Dhindsa. I'm part of the FS or the banking sector within Avanade. I work very closely as a business engagement leader for the banking industry with our mid-size accounts. So some of them are existing, some of them are new clients which I'm speaking to. So it's always good to get their perspective on what's working well for them and what are their current challenges, right? What is keeping up them at night. So onto your question, right, which is specifically on what these big players like these high street banks, right? So for likes of UBS, HSBC, Lloyds of London, and Barclays, right? What are they doing in the kind of large scale capacity that they have, right? So let's take one of them as an example. They would have a captive center back in India or in Philippines, which has 10,000 plus certified engineers, right? Yeah. Which gives them that scale of continuous improvement, but continuous innovation. Because of that, whenever a change needs to come in place, they already have that backbone of engineering capability, which is now a core part of their business. So while they're a bank, they have engineering capability as a core function. Now, whereas vis-a-vis for mid-sized banks, they are traditionally challengers in the market. They're not going to offer the same products which a Lloyds or Barclays can offer, because they'll not be able to match that economies of scale. So they have to be very nimble in terms of which products they're going to offer in the banking products world. Now, talking about the challenges for these for the mid market, right, is they don't have that scale to deploy behind these change management which comes through, right, especially from a technology perspective. So that's why they look at consultant like us, right, to come in and provide that capability. They will not have those captive centers, and that's where we bring in our own captive centers, right, to enable them. And I love working with the mid-market because whenever there's a change going on, it's the top of their mind, because it's a top-down approach. The CEO, the chief investment officer, the chief data officer, everybody is backing that particular project, and everybody sits behind the line. So that becomes the unique factor as well then, because the entire organization is running behind it. So the change management becomes a lot more easier compared to big organizations where there's multiple programs going on at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes sense. But that probably leads me perfectly onto my next question, which is, if you were able to talk to a CEO or a CIO and you were able to highlight the next sort of don't miss opportunity, what do you think that would be?
I mean, I'm not saying that a lot of organizations have missed the boat over here, but what I would like to say is most of the organizations which I'm talking to right now are, because of the buzzword of AI these days, right? Yeah. Everybody wants to get onto the boat on how can they come up with agentic AI workflows, how can we come up with AI-led or Gen AI-led chatbots for our customers, for our employees as well, right? But what's the underlying architecture over there? What they're missing is, do they have their data ready, right? Do they have a unified data platform ready? Because every time I read any CIO forum report, most of the statistics over there come across saying that 70 to 80% of the data within these banks is going unused for the analytics, right? So what it does is, there is rubbish which is going in to these agentic AI flows, and rubbish is going to come out, right? So yeah. While we have enterprise grade led for the likes of Microsoft Copilot, which is all ready to use, but for the agentic AI workflows to be used to the perfect productivity, the underlying data of that particular organization needs to be modernized, right? And that's when, if I was a CIO and a CDO, I've spoken to those CIOs and CDOs, that's what's keeping them up at night, right? How can they modernize that data platform? Because that is setting them up for the next wave, which they're building on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward then, what macro shifts should executives within small and mid-sized banks, what macro shifts should they start looking at and focusing on or preparing for?
Again, great question. I think in this segment, right, where we are talking about what's happening in the next 2 or 3 years, what I'm clearly seeing from the banking world is how do they interact with their customers, right? There's a contact center which is in place, but there are new tools which are coming into the market based on these contact center platforms itself, how they can engage clients with sentiment analysis, how they can help these contact center employees when they're engaging with clients, how they can come up with, these are the checkpoints that you need to make sure based on the conversation that you're having with the client, or even before the client joins in, given the history of the client, these are the checkpoints that you need to take care of, right?
Yeah.
And the next set of recommendations, the call to actions. Now, this is where AI tools can enable these conversations. It's probably, for some instances, it might even replace the entire employee engagement itself at that point of time, because clients are going to look at self-service via these chatbots. Because I think right now, even for yourself, you want to use your chatbot or chat GPT to come and give you your self-service answers to certain questions, which an employee might not even have at that point of moment. So that's the I would say the micro shift which is going to happen is towards a contact center engagement. That's one of the movements. The second one, which we already discussed, was a unified data platform, which I think, right, that's the second one, which is having a data platform which encapsulates the data, having a data lake, a data fabric, which can encapsulate the organization data for the transformation. And the third one, which is more towards banking oriented, right, which I'm seeing a lot more shift happening, is towards the interoperability between fiat currency and digital assets. Now, you have firms like Barclays, Clearbank, and even in Revolut, which offer you managing your fiat currency, let's say in pounds or in US dollars, but you also have digital assets which you can buy from in terms of crypto or stable coins, but you can have that interoperability over there. Now, what's going to happen in the new age? We're going to have a lot more engagement between these two different assets, and how are these banks going to come up with different products while being regulated as well, and offer it to their clients. Now, that's where a core banking transformation is going to happen as well, which we are seeing a lot of firms now moving into, coming up with new core banking platforms. Now, again, this is a trend which is already in play, but for the next 2 or 3 years, it's something which is going to go on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, we thank you so much for your time today and sharing the insights. I'm sure those in the banking world, like yourself, would have found this very useful, and especially moving forward as well. So we really appreciate it.
I appreciate being here and looking forward to the next 2 or 3 years, how it plays out as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Stay tuned for our next episode.